All right, so we got 9 games tonight. I did the review for the 4 matinee games already, so if you're looking for those, the video's already on the channel. I also created a playlist for the News of the Day videos. I remember to take the news video I just posted and make sure that goes into that playlist. I have to get used to putting the News of the Day videos into a playlist. So I wanted to say at the start, I don't complain about refereeing hardly at all in these, because there were Canuck fans that were mad at me last night because I didn't complain about the refereeing. If I'm going to complain about the refereeing, I'm probably going to complain about it in every single game, and people are going to get tired of hearing me complain about refereeing. The other option is, if I complain about it in games that feature teams I cheer for, that looks even worse. So what you get from me is a non-emotional, basically, review of all these games. I do my best to take the emotion out of it. I might crack a couple of remarks here and there, but I try to keep the emotional side out of it, and I try to be as balanced as possible, because if I get into complaining about referees, it'll be every review, and people will tire of it very, very quickly. The reason I say that is because I would hate to watch any kind of broadcast and hear the guy who's giving me what happened saying the refereeing was crap tonight. Hey, that refereeing tonight, that was garbage. Hey, did you watch that game? The refereeing sucked. Knock, knock. Who's there? Referees suck. So, see what I'm saying? So that's why I don't talk about it unless I see something egregious, like where we had games early in the season with with a bear calling them, where you'd see like 12, 13 power plays and you had no idea what was or wasn't a power play. That's not really happening anymore. So what's happening is we're seeing things let go. We're starting to see things let go that would have been called earlier in the season, and people get upset. And there are calls that, yeah, referees miss things because the game happens really fast. And if you've never sat at ice level, and I've talked about this before, if you've never sat at ice level and watched a hockey game, and it doesn't matter the level, you can do it at juniors, you can do it at college, wherever, because NHL, they're expensive, right? Those tickets. It is really fast, and I can totally understand how referees miss stuff. So I do my best not to whine and complain, because that's not what the reviews are for. So, and in instances where I've always regretted it after, where I'll finish a review and I'll be like, man, I really shouldn't have complained and whined, unless it's about a game where it's just totally constant penalties and there's no flow to the game. That is not happening anymore. That's gone. So, that being said, this is why we have timestamps on these review videos. Let's talk about the Rangers and the Capitals. All right, so the Rangers 13-13-4 after tonight. So they're not out of this, right? They're not out, but I do wonder at the deadline, what does the GM do? Does the GM look and say, you know what, we think we can catch a Flyers and maybe a Bruins? Bruins are shut down. We don't know how long. We don't know what they're going to be like when they come out of it. Do the Rangers look at this and say, we think we can go for this? Reverse retro Caps tonight. Reverse retros didn't have a horrible night tonight, but not a great one either. Edge for the Capitals at around the 5-minute mark. They came out of the gate pretty good. The Rangers then got a power play. That was killed off. The Capitals had already had a power play before that. They get their second. Kincaid denied a good chance for Carlson, but before the period's out, Buchnevich scores from Fox and Zibanejad at 17:49. So it's 1-0 Rangers after 1. Second period. There was a puck to the face on Miller. Keandre Miller would not exit the game and stay out of it, but this is Rangers' luck, where the puck bounces off of his teammate's stick, catches him in the face, and it didn't look great, so I'm glad Miller was okay. We then get a power play for the Caps. That's killed off. Wilson. Tom Wilson back in this game. He defended a chance for Zibanejad, and they talked a lot about Wilson's defensive game. Interestingly enough, Wilson, during that 7-game suspension, the Capitals won all 7. Rangers get a power play. That was their second. Samsonov saved a tip shot. We go to the third period. The New York Rangers, 10-2-2 when they're leading after 2 periods coming into today. Power play then for the Rangers. That gets killed off. And then John Carlson scores at 5:55. So, with the tying goal, the Caps then press for the lead. They would get a power play. They don't score on it. And then, beautiful play by Zibanejad. And this was when I was watching this, because we were down to the final 5 minutes, so I had this game on. This was the earliest game, I believe, that was finishing up, other than this mess here. So, this was just a mess. Zibanejad scores at 17:20. It just stole the puck off Dillon. And it was a play that shows Zibanejad is legit back. That this, now Mika Zibanejad, after getting some breaks in his last couple of games here, he's back. That was a very confident play, a goal scorer's play, and that makes it 2-1. Goaltender gets pulled. There were some shot blocks by the Rangers, and then Howden gets the empty net goal from Strome and Buchnevich at 1932, where Strome could have scored it and decided, no, Howden hasn't had a goal yet this year. We'll let him get the empty netter. So it's always nice when a teammate does that for you. 3-1 win for the Rangers. As I said, they go to 13-13-4. The Caps drop to 27-4, and that division is still pretty darn tight. It's a tough one. Zibanejad, Kincaid, and Samsonov are your 3 stars. Kincaid had another good game for the New York Rangers. Shots 10-7 in favor of Washington in the first, 8-7 Rangers in the second, 12-10 Washington in the third. Final shots 29-25 for the Capitals. Hits were 31-14 for Washington. Block shots were 23-7 for the New York Rangers. Power plays, the Rangers 0 for 3, Washington 0 for 4. So both power plays came out of today frustrated. Kincaid saves 28 out of 29. Samsonov saves 22 out of 24. So both goaltenders played well. It was an entertaining game. All right, next up. Okay, so if you're a Flyers fan and you're worried, I'm right there with you. I don't know what to say right now. So the Rangers beat them up, right? 9-0. Next night, they come out, they beat the Islanders. There was a bit of a downbeat in there, but they emerged with the victory, right? Tonight, not so lucky. And now these goals against are just climbing quickly and badly. Reverse retro Isles tonight. Again, the Islanders reverse retro looks like a third. I think this is a stealth way of making sure that any kind of reverse retro jinx that any other team might be going through, they don't have to worry about it. Early chances for the Islanders, but the shots were 3-3 5 minutes in. It was a pretty fast-paced game, which the Islanders like. The Islanders like fast-paced games. Power play for the Islanders, and they score on it. It's J.G. Pajot scoring from Wallstrom and Bailey at 6:11. And then less than 2 minutes later, Eberle scores from Barzal and Hickey. Hickey playing his first game tonight. First game he's played in a very long time. And he had a good acquitting for himself tonight. Definitely made the argument he should be in the lineup again. Cizikas then scored at 10:03, and that was not a great goal for Carter Hart. I actually thought they would pull Carter Hart in that situation. They didn't. They did call a timeout, however, where Alain Vigneault kind of reads them the riot act. And then Cizikas greets them with another goal about 5 minutes later. He scores from Hickey and Wallstrom at 15:25. So Hickey with a couple of assists in the first period. So, again, welcome back to the NHL. I always liked Thomas Hickey. There you go. Lindblom and Wallstrom then had a fight, which I didn't see those two coming. If you'd said who's going to have a fight in the Philly Islanders game, those aren't the guys I would have picked at all. Neither of them. And then Farabee scores from Lawton at 17:52. So it's 4-1 in favor of the Islanders after one. And you already get the feeling this is probably out of reach. Second period. There was an early Flyers power play. That's killed off. The Islanders press 5.5 minutes in. Shots are 5-2 for the Flyers 9 minutes into it. There was then a power play for the Flyers. That's killed off as well. JVR had a shot after the power play ended. So always... In this case, I believe it was that the Islanders penalty killers couldn't get off the ice. So sometimes you still have the advantage even after a power play ends. The Islanders would get a power play before the period was out. But we go to the third period, and in the third, Beauvillier scores from Nelson at 9:45. That made it 5-1. The Flyers get a power play. It's unsuccessful. And then Bailey would score at 15:46 to make it 6-1. So the Islanders, they finish with that score. They go to 28-4. So they're tied with the Capitals, and they've played one more game. Philadelphia drops to 15-11-3. That's 33 points. Over here, you got the Rangers at 30. So again, do you look at this if you're the Rangers and say, all right, we're catching up to Philly, or what do you do? 3 stars in this one. Sorokin, who has been getting better as the season's gone along. Cizikas and Hickey. So Hickey recognized his 3rd star. Shots in this one, 13-10 Islanders in the first, 11-7 Philly in the second, 8-3 for the Islanders in the third. Final shots, 28-24 for the Islanders. Power plays, 0 for 3 for Philly, 1 for 2 for the Islanders. Hits 28-27 for the Islanders. Block shots 14-11 for Philly. Carter Hart, an ugly 22 save on 28 shot performance, and Sorokin 23 saves on 24 shots. So yeah, we'll see how Philly responds to that in their next game, because again they need to turn this around, and that's an ugly result. Next up, Columbus. Columbus, very happy about the offside rule. I'm going to go ahead and say if you're a Columbus fan tonight, you're pretty happy that the NHL is really strict about offside goals. Really strict about it. Where even when it's just so close, nope, offside is offside. So the Canes get an early power play in this one. The shots were 6-5 for the Canes at the half. Pretty wide open first half of that period. Domi had a chance, goes wide. Aho then had a chance the other way. So Domi, when you get that chance, make sure you're coming back. Last minute, Atkinson had a shot that was saved, and things get kind of scrummy with 4 seconds left. A lot of that going on right now because these teams know each other very, very well. Every team that's playing against each other, kind of sick of seeing each other at this stage of the game. Second period, Canes had a 3-on-2. Great chance for Aho. After that, there was then a power play for Columbus. That's killed off by Carolina. And then Elvis stopped a deflected point shot. So Elvis Merzlikins playing pretty good tonight. Pretty decent game for Elvis, as he gives them the kind of goaltending he did last year. Svechnikov, however, would not be denied. He scores from Pesce and Stahl at 14-29. Columbus, they try to answer, and Reimer made some decent saves as well. Reimer, not recognized in the 3 stars. I'll go ahead and say he maybe could have been. So we go to the third period. 39 seconds into the third, Bjorkstrand ties it. So didn't take very long. Columbus had the momentum after that goal. Shea then goes the other way. He had a chance that was saved by Elvis. Jones then had a chance that led to another one for Columbus. So some good back and forth action in this game. Power play for Columbus. Reimer denied Stenlund in the second half of that period. Weird bounce then off of the glass. Reimer avoided it. So it bounced off the glass behind him. It's one of those ones that could bounce off the glass and bounce off a goalie's back and into the net. So he kind of contorted so it didn't touch him. And yeah, it was fun to watch. Not if you're Reimer. And probably for most goalies, they're watching that going, oh, don't let that go in. You don't want that one to go in. Unless you're a fan of Columbus. Fogle was then denied by Elvis, but during that same shift, he would score. So he gets a goal from McGinn and Hamilton at 15:47. Columbus then pulls the goaltender, and they score. Seth Jones gets the goal from Line and Roslovic at 19:31. So we go to overtime. In the overtime, Elvis denied Nachas. With 3:16 left, Seth Jones goes to the box, and immediately Carolina scores. But nobody leaves the ice, because Toronto's got to take a look at it. And what Toronto found out was, yeah, the Canes are offside on that goal. So again, it was close, but they were offside. Columbus then finished killing off the penalty. Probably got a nice rest there, so they could do that. Closing seconds, Reimer stops Line. Line almost finished it. Then we go to the shootout. And in the shootout, Bjorkstrand, he gets the winner. He also had the tying goal in the third period. So, well, he had the 1-1 goal, and then the 2-2 goal is Jones. But still, Columbus wins this one, 3-2. And they jump into a playoff spot according to the NHL website. They have jumped past Chicago. So they're 13-12-7. Carolina is 27-3. So right now, Columbus is a playoff team, because Chicago, they didn't do so well in those games against top teams. 3 stars in this one. Merzlikins, Jones, and Fogle. Shots, 10-10 in the first, 11-10 Carolina in the second, 13-10 Carolina in the third. In the overtime, 3-1 in favor of the Canes. Final shots, 37-31 for Carolina. The hits were 37-26 in favor of Columbus. The block shots were 20-14 in favor of Columbus. Merzlikins, 35 saves on 37 shots. Reimer saves 29 out of 31. And yeah, pretty good goaltending performance at both ends of the rink. Entertaining game. And for Carolina, they get a point to go to 27-3. So yeah, they're in the hunt. Basically, the 3 top teams in that division seem to just keep getting further ahead. And now Columbus is that number 4 team that's going to have to face whichever team is first at the end of the year. It's not an enviable position, but tonight they showed they can hang with them. All right, moving on. Dallas. So if Detroit won this game tonight, Dallas was going to be last in the division. And that wasn't necessarily going to be a surprise to me. Dallas has struggled with their scoring. And tonight, this game, through long stretches, looked like some of their other games lately, where they outplay the other team, and then they just lose. And there's no explanation other than lack of finish and just not getting the key saves the other teams they've been playing have been getting. It's not that Dallas is playing really badly. They haven't been. They just haven't been winning. So first period, early chances for the Stars on Greiss. So Greiss is in the net because Bernier is out, and I haven't heard how long Bernier is out, but he's out. Shots were 3-1 for the Stars at 5 minutes. Power play for Dallas. That's killed off. And the Wings get a late power play. But we come out of the first period with Dallas ahead in shots. Not a ton of shots, but they were ahead in shots. They outplayed Detroit, I thought, in the first period. But it's scoreless. Second period. Pavelski had a chance that went wide. Greiss, solid thus far into the game. The shots were 14-7 total for Dallas at 27 minutes into the game. So almost halfway through, they were doubling Detroit in shots. Hudobin stopped a Larkin chance. The Stars had a goal that was ruled as kicked in, and it was Gurianov, and it was clearly kicked in. This wasn't just like, is it a kicking motion? Is it not? Yeah, it was a kicking motion. It was kicked in. There's no need to challenge that. That was kicked in. The Wings were pressing, but they needed more shots. So they had some pressure, and they just weren't getting shots. And then Tanner Kiro, with the first goal he's had in a while, he scores from Alexiak at 17:22. It's a good story because Tanner Kiro's been, toiling around the minors for a while. When a guy doesn't give up his dream when other players might, and other players might be like, well, I'll just go over to Europe. Kiro gets a goal tonight. And then in the last minute, the Stars had a power play, so they're up 1-0 going into the third period, and they got a man advantage. The Wings did kill off the remainder. The shots were only 2-2 at 5.5 minutes. So it was a low chance third period to that point. And then Sekera, he scores from Faxa at 8:16. The Stars would then get a power play, and they score on it. It's Dellandrea scoring from Hintz at 13:43. That makes it 3-0. The Wings would get a power play after that. It was unsuccessful. So, the three Stars, Kiro, Hudobin, and Dellandrea being the three Stars of this one. Shots 9-5 in the first in favor of Dallas, 15-7 Dallas in the second, and in the third, both teams had 9 shots. Final shots, 33-21 for Dallas. Power plays, Dallas 1 for 3, Detroit 0 for 2. Hits, 29-26 for Detroit. Block shots, 17-12 for Detroit. Detroit played well. Hudobin, 21 saves for the 11th shutout of his career. And Greiss saved 30 out of 33 in the loss. So for Detroit, they don't pass Dallas. And for Dallas, at 27 points, they're within striking distance of a playoff spot. I get the feeling whoever finishes fourth in the Central may not have a great record. And then, do they get killed in the first round? Do they have a shot at a first round upset? Be interesting to see. That being said, I need to change boards. And here we are up to Vancouver and Montreal. And it's a bad matchup for Vancouver. It's been the case. Holtby in net. I'm not going to put this on Holtby. I'm not. I think that... Okay, I'll put it this way. Demko's been fantastic. Demko steals last night's game. Demko's stolen a lot of games lately. And I watched most of last night's game between Vancouver and Montreal. There were only 3 games on at the same time last night. So I was able to devote a lot of my time to watching the 2 Canadian matchups last night, which were these 2. And I really thought that the reason that the Canucks got a victory last night almost entirely, to me, rests with Thatcher Demko and his ability to make big saves. So while people got mad about the officiating, I watched that game and I went, it's a good thing we've got Demko. So Holtby was in tonight. I'll get there. Toffoli out, so that seemed to be good news because Toffoli's been pretty darn good against Vancouver. So now Vancouver doesn't see Montreal again unless they meet in the playoffs, which is not going to happen because they'd have to be second and third or first and fourth. That's not going to happen. So the Habs wearing their reverse retros, and right away I thought, okay, so there's Montreal fans going, oh, we lose when we wear these. Not tonight. Early chance for the Habs. Armia was stopped. Myers takes a penalty. The Habs go to the power play. And on the power play, they score. Suzuki scores from Drouin and Weber at 6:26. The shots were 7-2 for the Habs at 8 minutes. And the Canucks were stuck on 2 shots for a while. This again, it's this weird thing with the Canucks. And I mean, it dates back to the playoffs last year against Vegas, against St. Louis, where they just go through long droughts of no shots. They didn't have a shot in the last 12 minutes of that period. The Habs pressed with 4 minutes left. They pressed a decent amount. That being said, they only had 3 shots in the last 12 minutes themselves, so it was pretty defensive effort overall. Second period, 22 seconds in, Virtanen scored from Miller, so that tied it up. Better start for the Canucks. The Canucks then get a power play, and they score on it. Brock Besser scores from Hughes and Horvat at 8:08. And then it's where things get a little dicey. So Mete had a break. Holtby made the save on that. That was one of those situations where I was like, that would have been Toffoli if he'd played tonight. The Canucks then tried to add to the lead. Price made some saves. And then Tatar. Thomas Tatar scores from Deno and Mete at 13:44. That tied it up. And then it's Edmondson scoring from Weber and Tatar at 18:23. So Montreal up 3-2. After 2, and Montreal had been the better team. So we go to the third period, and Vancouver, they would get outplayed, but not in the first minute. Horvat scores from Hughes and Höglander at 22 seconds, and then Mott scored from Hawryluk and Benn at 55 seconds. So, ta-da! Defensive zone issue on that Mott goal for Montreal that Mott plugs in the back of the net. Suddenly, Vancouver's up 4-3. And 4 minutes in, the shots were 2-2. And then it starts. Gallagher scores from Dano on a face-off win at 5:29. The rest of this period is almost all Montreal. And this is where Holtby earns his paycheck today. The Habs pressed it with 9 minutes left. The shots were 11-3 in favor of the Habs with 6.5 minutes left. And so for the last 6.5 minutes of this game that Vancouver needs in regulation, they need to beat Montreal in regulation. They need to start getting regulation wins so they can catch up to teams ahead of them. They had 1 shot in the last 6.5 minutes. So, again, when you're flipping around channels, every time I went to this game, it's in the Vancouver zone. And I was like, this is insane. Have they got out of their zone? So, in overtime, the Habs had their chances. Dano had a break. Holtby made the save there. And then Besser had a chance that was stopped in the final 10 seconds. So, we go to a shootout. And in the shootout, the winner was Tomas Tatar, which is right where I start, cursing a little bit under my breath. And, Montreal wins this one in a shootout. They go to 14-8-9. Very important 2 points against Vancouver. Vancouver drops to 16-16-3. So the record is still respectable. And again, Vancouver, it's a rough road trip. I know that you're restricted to just playing against 2 different teams. But again, it's a lot of overtime over a short period. And so I admire what Vancouver was able to do on this road trip. I do wish they had won in regulation, but again, I thought they had a good road trip. Your 3 stars in this one, Tatar, Dano, and Gallagher. Shots 10-2 in favor of Montreal in the first, 12-10 Montreal in the second, 15-4 Montreal in the third, and 3-2 in the overtime. Final shots were 40-18 for Montreal. The right team won. I was kind of hoping for a steal here. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 1, so not a lot of penalties tonight. Hits 28-26 for Montreal. Block shots 21-14 for Vancouver. Holtby 36 saves on 40 shots. Price 14 saves on 18 shots. Price wasn't that sharp, just Vancouver didn't test him often enough. And so Price continues his record of not losing to Vancouver in Montreal. And Vancouver's now done with Montreal. Now they get to play Winnipeg on Monday. Winnipeg's going to be kind of choked for a game we're going to talk about soon here. Calgary. So, under Daryl Sutter, I kind of think this is how it's going to work. They allow fewer goals. They're going to score fewer goals, too, because of the defensive system that Daryl Sutter puts in. And I think they're still learning on the fly here. And for Toronto, they learned something tonight. Having a healthy goaltender in there, who his teammates love him. You can see it in Jack Campbell. Certainly seems to help. And Campbell is impossible not to like. There was an image they had of him winking at his line mate when his helmet came off, or his defense cohort when his helmet came off and they blew the whistle. And you can just see that everybody likes him. He's a very popular guy. And he was against Riddick. And Riddick is one of those underdog stories I'm rooting for a little bit, because they tried to replace him by bringing in Markstrom. And while Riddick's numbers haven't been great this year, I still think Riddick's a decent goaltender. Kerfoot, Spets, and Thornton was the 4th line tonight. I thought that was interesting because, remember, Thornton not that long ago was on the 1st line with Matthews. Leafs pressed at 6.5 minutes, but the shots were only 2-7 minutes in. It was kind of a tentative start. Power play then for the Leafs. That's killed off. The Flames and Lucic were taking some liberties on Matthews. And it's something that I really think at some point the NHL is going to have to do something. I'll do a video on it too. The fact that star players in the NHL, they get beat up a lot out there. And I get it from the point of view of the team that's doing that, because you're saying if we can hurt that guy, if we can bruise him up a little bit, we got a better chance of winning. And the NHL, unlike other leagues in North America, they don't really protect star players very well, as injury histories would tell you. Gaudreau missed high on a turnover. Johnny Gaudreau's really fighting the puck. There was a post for Spezza. Riddick then saved the rebound, but Spezza would get a goal before the period's out. He scores from Muzzin at 18:31, and it was impossible, that angle. It was a perfect shot from an impossible angle. Mangiapane then misses on a turnover with 30 seconds left. We go to the second period. The Leafs get a power play during that. Tavares had a shot that went wide. Tavares is kind of fighting the puck as well, I think. Post then for Matthews, who had to be frustrated coming out of tonight. That's his 7th post. He leads the NHL in posts. I've always wondered about that total too, because when I'm watching games and I'm trying to keep track of how many posts get hit, and then I look on the NHL, I'm thinking, that seems low. Seems like those guys should have more posts than that. We then get a Flames power play. Became a 4-on-4. You get an abbreviated Leafs power play. The Flames then get another one. The parade happens. It doesn't last very long, though. A strong penalty kill by the Leafs, and then before the period's out, Hyman scores his 6th goal in March from Tavares and Galchenyuk at 16:28. So Galchenyuk is on the board with a secondary assist for Toronto. They're up 2-0. Third period, Flames on the opening shift. They had a good chance. The Leafs then get a power play. Backlund denies Matthews a goal. The Flames nearly got one with 8.5 minutes left. There's a goalie pull then with 3 minutes left, and with 1 minute and 51 seconds left, the Flames call a timeout. So after that timeout, they're unable to get a goal, and Toronto wins 2-0. And Jack Campbell starting to rack up some shutouts, I guess. We'll see how things go for him in their next game, but Campbell's playing well enough that if Freddie's got to be out for a little while, I think Leaf fans are okay with it tonight. They go to 20-10-2. The Calgary Flames dropped to 15-14-3. And so Canuck fans can kind of thank Toronto for that. And that's going to feel weird to Canuck fans to thank the Leafs for winning a game, but this is where we are now. 3 stars, Campbell, Hyman, and Spezza. So 3 straight for Toronto, and Jack Campbell being first star, absolutely. Shots in this one were 11-5 Toronto in the first, 13 each in the second period, and then in the third, Calgary outshoots them 13-9. Final shots 33-31 for Toronto. Power plays, Calgary 0 for 3, Toronto 0 for 4. Hits, 36-23 for Calgary. Block shots, 16-12 for Toronto. Riddick, 31 saves on 33 shots for the Flames. Campbell, 31 saves, 31 shots for his 4th career shutout. But at the rate that he's getting them in Toronto, which is all consecutively, I may get 7 or 8 more. And honestly, and again, I've said this about Jack Campbell for years, he failed in his development in Dallas, which I think is more of a statement of how Dallas developed him than anything else, because he went to LA, and LA turned him into a pretty good goalie. I wish him the best, and it's nice to see him flourish in Toronto. So that's a good story. All right, moving along. From that good story to potentially another. So Arizona's odds of making the playoffs are not great, right? But they need to beat Anaheim. And they had to have looked at the last game against Anaheim and seen that they had a 2-0 lead early, and then they let it get away from them. So tonight, it's Miller's 4th straight start. Tonight was not a great start for Miller. Early chances for the Ducks. Ronta made a few saves, and then it goes the other way, and Broussard puts it in the net. From Chychrun at 2:53, that was only the 2nd shot for the Coyotes, and it was a 5-hole goal. So it's not one that, it doesn't necessarily look all that great. And then at 5:35, Chychrun scores. The shots were 6-2 in favor of the Coyotes with 9 minutes left, and the Coyotes were the team that came out to play today. The Ducks would wake up, but that first period was tough, and it really cost them. Ronta with some highlight reel saves to keep it at 2-0. We get a power play for the Ducks, and then for 35 seconds we had 4-on-4 after they take a penalty. And then a power play goal for Coyotes when they got the man advantage. So they score. It's Broussard with the 2nd of the game from Ekman Larson and Kessel at 15:22. So Broussard with 2 markers. Coyotes were dominating this one. Hakanpää had a shot late in the period that deflects out of play, but we go to the second period. Stolars would start the second period for Anaheim, and he's greeted 36 seconds into the game by Brassard from Pitlick. That's Brassard's hat trick goal. And that's the end of his goals for tonight. And I know watching this, I thought, how many is he going to get? 3. He's going to get 3. So halfway through the period, the shots were 5-1. There's a power play for the Coyotes. It's unsuccessful. We go to the third period with the Coyotes in full control at 4-0. Early Ducks power play, that's killed off. Ronta denied Fowler. And then, going the other way at 12-17, Keller scores from Garland and Schmaltz. And that was on a defensive zone turnover, which Anaheim has problems with those. And then Henrique would score to break the shutout from Terry and Zegras at 14-27. So Zegras stays hot, gets another point, and seemed happy about it. I mean, happy as you can be when you're losing 5-1, but still, he gets on the board. And then Ronta with a nice glove save on Hakanpää. Hakanpää's been getting opportunities. He's on the board for a reason. At some point, I think he probably breaks through. He's also a guy who may end up being traded at the deadline. It's possible that Anaheim trades him at the deadline due to contract status and deadlines being as they are. And the Ducks now being 9-17-6. The Coyotes even the record at 13-13-5. The odds of them making the playoffs are long, but they have to see some vulnerability in what's going on with Minnesota and with St. Louis not necessarily having looked great over the last few weeks. So there's no reason really to throw in the towel if you're the Coyotes, but we'll see what they do at the deadline because they still have cap considerations coming out of all this too, where they're really cap strapped. So the 3 stars in this one: Brassard, obviously, Chychrun, and Henrique. Henrique, 3rd star with the goal for Anaheim, and he was playing well. Shots in this one were 14-5 in favor of Arizona in the first, and then 10-5 Anaheim in the second, 13-9 Anaheim in the third. Final shots 28 each. Power plays, Arizona goes 1 for 2, Anaheim 0 for 2. So when you talk about scoring being down, I think it's just a lot of it is that the power plays are down as well. Blocked shots 37-16 for Anaheim, or hits 37-16 for Anaheim. The blocked shots were in favor of Arizona, 13-10. Antti Ronta, 27 saves on 28 shots. Ryan Miller, 11 saves on 14 shots. And then Stolars with 12 saves on 14 shots over the final 2 periods. So for Anaheim, it's been done for a while, but this one tonight was kind of, even by Duck standards of recent weeks, kind of an ugly one. But for the Coyotes, you'll take it. Coyote ugly, right? There you go. All right, that being said, let's go to the final board. All right, so St. Louis, San Jose, and I'm really glad I did the review of those 4 games earlier today, because otherwise this review it'd be very, very long. There's a reason I started doing the matinee games on their own. There's a very, very good reason for that. I was like, let's just not do those hour-long videos anymore. I say it 32 and almost 33 minutes. 16-10-5 record now for St. Louis. Is St. Louis starting to get it back together? Tonight's result would tell you probably. But when you look at how they played, there was some good fortune here too. Reverse retro for the Sharks, and they score early. Gambrell scores from Sorensen and Burns at 2 minutes and 33 seconds. Well, Husso had been minus his stick on the play, and just one of those things where you're trying to get yourself back together, and then the Sharks score. At 3:32, less than a minute later, Dunn answers during a delayed penalty. Barely delayed. Goalie hadn't even left the ice yet. Kyrou and O'Reilly with the assists. So it's 1-1. Not for long. 3 minutes later, Kyrou scores from O'Reilly and Perron at 6:43. So when this game came on, there were a lot of games that were on. This was the one that I had on my computer while I was trying to, go through 6 other games on my television. And so this one's behind me. I'm listening. And for highlights, I'm turning around to watch the highlights. And when there were 3 goals that early, I'm like, what, again? Again? And then they scored again. St. Louis scored again. But that goal was ruled as being offside. And even Panger couldn't argue that it wasn't offside. And he will argue if he doesn't think it's offside. The Sharks then get a power play. That's killed off. And we go to the second period with St. Louis still in the lead 2-1. Krug took an elbow in the chin. Not called. But he stayed in the game. And the reason that it's noteworthy is because, Krug's a smaller player than some, and he looked on the bench kind of a little woozy, but he stayed in the game, and he was part of the third period run they had. Dubnyk then denied a Wallman shot. That Jake Wallman's a really pretty decent defenseman. If you're not watching St. Louis games, I think Wallman's going to surprise some people when they see St. Louis. If he's in the lineup, he's good. Schwartz then had a chance that was denied. Crossbar for the Sharks at 7 minutes, but then they'd get a goal. Hurdle from Meyer and Knizhov at 8:10, and that was on a nice break for Hurdle. So Hurdle's now at 8 goals, and it's not too shabby. He had 16 last season. We get a delay of game call then against the Blues. The Blues with that penalty. It was a Blues power play. It was Dubnyk. Dubnyk threw it over the glass, and immediately they noticed. And it's impressive because remember, I'm watching the St. Louis feed. They're thousands of miles away from where the game actually is. They're not actually in the building. So it was impressive that they knew that Dubnyk had threw it over the glass before they even said it. That becomes a power play for the Blues, but the Sharks did kill it off. Husso then denied Donato. Try saying that 4 times back to back. Dubnyk then stopped a buzzer beater from the Blues. So it's 2-2 going into the third period. This is one of those periods where, for the Blues, it's not their season, obviously. I don't want to get over dramatic. But you feel like if they lose this one in regulation, might be some more discussion about where their standing is and if they're having trouble with California, right? What's going to happen when you play the better teams, right? Then there's an early chance for the Blues in the third. Husso dealt with an odd bounce off the boards, and he survived. So it's one of those, I'm going to come out of the, whoa, where's that going? And he survived that. The Sharks then get called for a face-off violation. Again, I don't complain about refereeing. I just find it weird when they enforce this. I find that bizarre because it's very rarely enforced. And yeah, it's a delay of game call that I'm not sold on. It's one of those rules that I would just toss it. Because then the Blues scored during that power play, right? So if you're a Sharks fan, you probably agree you don't like the faceoff violation. If you're a Blues fan, you're probably okay with it tonight. O'Reilly scores from Dunn and Perron at 4:56. Perron had a big game, big third period. And then the Blues they tried adding to the lead. The Blues played very, very well in that third period. The shots don't tell you how well they played in the third period. Kyrou would score from Krug and Perron, so that's his second goal of the game. That's his third point of the game at 15:51. And then San Jose pulls the goalie with 3 minutes and 10 seconds left. Well, that allows Perron to get the empty netter from Schwartz and O'Reilly at 18:01. So St. Louis, they win this one 5-2. They go to 16-10-5. For San Jose, they drop to 11-14-4. They've won 11 out of 29 games. I don't see how San Jose's not a seller right now. O'Reilly, Perron, and Dunn are the 3 stars. Shots, 11-5 San Jose in the first, and then they outshot St. Louis 10-8 in both the second and third periods. Shots don't tell the whole story in that one. Final shots, 31-21 for San Jose. Power plays, St. Louis 1 for 3, San Jose 0 for 1. They only had the one opportunity. Blocked shot or hits, 31-28 for St. Louis. Blocked shots, 15-9 for St. Louis. Husso saves 29 out of 31. He is getting better. Husso had a struggle at the beginning of the season. Those struggles appear to be working themselves out. And Dubnyk, 16 saves on 20 shots. Not fantastic overall, but, Dubnyk is an up-and-down goaltender. Probably bounce back for the next game. But again, for San Jose, they need a win in regulation in this. They don't get it. They drop to 11-14-4. For the Blues now, they're at 37 points. And for the Sharks, they're at 28. So 9-point spread. It's likely a little too much. Anyways, moving along. Last game of the night. All right, so the Oilers. This is one of those games that feels like it's pretty big. This is one of those games that feels like it's the Oilers getting their groove back. The Oilers, not a team this year that's known for coming back. The Jets, not known as a team that loses back-to-back games in regulation. It hadn't happened until tonight. And so for the Oilers, there are a lot of positives to build on from this. And again, Mike Smith is making a lot of doubters look foolish right now. I'm not saying it's going to last the whole season, but he's outplayed Koskinen. He's the better goaltender. And they were wearing those third jerseys. The Oilers tend to win when they wear those third jerseys. So there's that consideration as well. The Oilers get the first power play. That's killed off. Puljujarvi was denied after, but Puljujarvi was going to have a big night. Not that he ends up in the Stars, which surprises me, but anyways, I'm a little bit surprised by that. The Jets get a power play, and they score on it. Andrew Kopp with the goal from Ehlers and Dubois. Ehlers and Dubois at 10:36. And then Ehlers would give the Jets the lead from Morrissey and Connor at 15-27. So the momentum's all Winnipeg, but remember, Connor McDavid's on the other team. He scores his 21st of the year from Puljujarvi at 17:04. It was after this that the game gets kind of ugly. Kassian hits Ehlers, and the Jets didn't like it. Lowry didn't like it. Lowry chased him down the ice and looked like Lowry kind of said, hey, do you want to go? And Kassian said no. Considering the long time that he was out and the fact it was a hand injury, totally understand not wanting to fight in one of your first games back and all that. But yeah, Kassian drilled Ehlers. You might have been able to call an interference call there because it seemed a little bit late. But it's how Kassian plays, and it just felt like that amped up the game as Lowry was upset, and then they came out into the second period, and then both teams seemed to be upset. There were some hits, and the funny thing is the hits total on here, I'm not 100% buying that. Smith stopped an early shot from Appleton. The Oilers had some chances that were saved around 6 minutes in. Lots of hits at that point in the game. Maybe that's the Kassian effect, as I put on the board here, that it just amps it up. Okay, well, we saw that. We're going to hit that guy. Well, you're going to hit that guy. We're going to hit that guy. This kind of thing goes on. Hockey, as it's called. So Ehlers had a chance that was stopped by Smith. Mike Smith had a great game. Morrissey had a one-timer that was denied, and then Hellebuck robbed Ennis. Tyler Ennis absolutely denied there. There was then a too many men on the ice call against the Jets, so the Oilers go to the power play. 33 seconds of 4-on-4, and then we get a Jets power play after that. Everything gets killed off. We go back to 5-on-5 hockey. And then in the last moments, Blake Wheeler hits the post. It was that kind of a night for Blake Wheeler. Third period. Early Jets power play. That was their third. There was actually a shorthanded 2-on-1 during that. Hellebuck made the save on that. And then Nurse. Nurse scored from Puljujarvi after that power play was done at 3 minutes and 19 seconds. And then the Oilers decided to just take that momentum and ride it for the rest of the game. They were pushing for the lead. Smith denied Pullman. Pullman had a nice shot that Smith saw and got. Wheeler was then denied as well. So Smith helping with that momentum side of it, that when the Jets got their chances, he wasn't allowing it. And then at 9:35, Draisaitl. Big goal from Draisaitl from McDavid and Puljujarvi at 9:35. So that is 3 assists on the night for Puljujarvi. Not too bad. Not too bad for the kid. The momentum was all Oilers at that point. And then with 8:26 left, the Oilers get a power play. They weren't giving the Jets any easy passes, so you might get the first pass through. Good luck with the second one. And when you got in the Oilers zone, the Jets looked really disorganized in that third period. The goaltender gets pulled, and pretty quickly after the goaltender was pulled, that's why I just put goalie pull and. Shore hits the empty net. Pass from Nugent Hopkins at 18 minutes and 40 seconds. So Devin Shore closes it up. The Oilers win this one 4-2. They go to 21-13. They keep pace with the Leafs. And for the Jets, they're 18-11-2. And who doesn't want to see the next matchup between the Oilers and the Leafs? So the shots, 12-11 in favor of Winnipeg in the first. And then it was 15-11 in favor of the Oilers in the second. And 11-8 Oilers in the third. Final shots, 37-31 for the Oilers. Power plays, Winnipeg goes 1 for 3. The Oilers went 0 for 3. Dangerous looking power plays. Could not get that puck in the net. Your 3 stars, McDavid, Smith, and Dubois. I'm a little surprised by Dubois over Puljujarvi. That's just me talking. Hits, 26-25 for Winnipeg. Blocked shots, 24-10 for Winnipeg. So a lot of shot blocking for the Jets, and they frustrated McDavid until they didn't. That's how it works with Connor McDavid. You look at the end of the night and you go, well, we kind of controlled him. He only got a goal and an assist. And there you go. Hellebuck, 33 saves on 36 shots. Smith, 29 saves on 31 shots. He was excellent. It was a really good game. And again, Canadian games, almost always very entertaining. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It's been hockey for, let's see, I got up at 9. It's now denominator. It's 13 and a half hours, and I still got the power rankings to come. So I'm going to apologize now for the amount of times I trip over my tongue on the power rankings. That's why I did the news and preview video before this one, because at some point my brain says, okay, that's enough of this crap. I'm going to sleep. So hopefully that doesn't happen during the power rankings, but stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, and hey, I will talk to you guys again soon.